Hi, you heard it. I'm Bruce. Nice to be here. So, have merch. I'm a recording artist, performing artist. I'm here to prove it. There's a quota I have to meet. To myself, obviously. Not the IRS. Don't make enough money for them to know about me yet. But yeah, I have had a lot of really fortunate opportunities. I did a lot of, done a fair amount of grassroots touring around the country. I think travel is, but when I say recording artist, I don't mean like, it's a small world after, I'm not doing that. You could tell, obviously, I mostly do rap. That's the part where you're like, he's a liar. Am I? Done a fair amount of touring. I think a lot of the most profound experiences I've had are in travel, are in meeting new people, being in new places, being with people you like and traveling to new places with them, and then seeing one another as someplace new and someplace new to experience. Every time I say something profound, there's an alarm that goes off. Thanks for keeping up with that. And so, February 2013, I embarked on my first tour. 2 years prior, yes, I'm in Stony Brook now, but in 2011, I had dropped out of school in Oswego, not just because it was cold and the lake effect, big deal in that decision, but also because I wanted to pursue music and recording and creating art and sharing it. And so it was great when a year later they hired me back to perform and lecture in front of a class and paid me. So that was like a fine middle finger to the establishment I wasn't getting my fulfillment out of and would have been deeply indebted to. And instead I am indebted to people who I've met on the road. And so February 2013, I embark on my first tour with my friend and fellow artist from Lindenhurst, Alexa Dexa. Very weird, very wonderful. She plays a little Schroeder toy piano and does like really weird beats, like EDM, sort of like electronic music. And she plays concierge desk bells pitched in a diatonic scale. You don't know if I'm lying or not. This is a real person that I traveled the country with. She's like a strange 23-year-old grandma sort of person. And so I traveled around with her with a Schroeder piano. And she played the piano and I rapped. And it was called the Little Piano Big Mouth Tour. You can assume which one I was, even if I didn't tell you about the piano. And so we went on this tour, and we took the megabus lots of places. And if you haven't been on the megabus, good. So that was a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed the megabus quite a lot. But so we traveled over the course of 4 to 5 weeks through about 14 cities. We played something around 15 to 20 dates. It was a ton of fun. It was really important to me and for me. A lot of these experiences that have shaped me and my artistry and my friendships around the country happened on this trip. I bought myself this pork pie hat, which is a much better hat style than it is a food suggestion. I got that when I was in Chicago at a haberdashery. This mustache says, I know the word haberdashery. Actually, my mouth does, but it just looks like the mustache is saying it. So, week three, we're in Texas. We've already played Houston, we've already played Austin, and Texas is so big you have to hydrate a lot before you say all of the cities. And we're in Dallas. So we were in Dallas. There's not a lot of days there's a lot of time off before you play at night. and when you're traveling. So we were in Dallas for 2 days. We had performed one night in a very strange restaurant with a guy who was playing beautifully on the vibraphone, which is like a humongous wooden xylophone, but much more beautiful sounding than that, it seems to suggest. And sorry about xylophone players. I think xylophone players are just people that are really happy they know how to spell xylophone, and since they have like that rare talent, they're like, I should probably go into this. So we get to day 2, and day 2 we have off, and we're with our friend Melanie Balderas, who mixed a lot of the music that Alexa made, and we had the day off, and so we were doing a lot of romping around. Dallas is huge. Dallas is very big. It's a city. It's like a metropolis. The other places we were at, Austin is like a music mecca. Houston is like an art mecca. And as far as I can tell, Dallas is like a building mecca. I don't know. So there's a lot of big buildings. There's like industrial parks and lots of. So we're running around. I'm despite how I'm dressed, I'm actually like a very frenetic, frantic person. And you can probably tell. And so we're running around, and it's about midday, and we're getting hungry, and we had already, I was jumping, running downstairs, climbing over trees, and doing all these crazy things. I was just very excited to have a day off, and we were halfway through and getting really antsy. And I was sick when I was in Austin, and the people that I stayed with took care of me, which was really sweet. And they gave me a journal book. I always carry a journal around with me in case all these crazy ideas that I have, I don't want them to go away. I feel like I can have all the bad ideas I want. You don't have to hear them, but I can keep track of them. So I was carrying one of my notebooks around. As an aside, as like wild and the tornado, the cyclone, the hurricane, the F5 of my mind is, I've never lost a piece that I've written. I'm going to cheat. That's a lie. I have lost one piece, and it tears at me. It tears away at me a lot. It was called the Houdini Complex. It was the story about a guy who's locked in a house and he can't get out, but like that he doesn't want to get out is what's keeping him from getting out. It was this whole thing, and I lost it, and it destroyed me. But what was very beautiful was in that mourning process, I ended up writing 2 more pieces, sort of like in reference to that, and it kind of reminds me that memory. And I had no memory of that piece, which is devastating to me, which is why I keep writing things down. And I had no memory of that piece, just the vague idea and a couple of lines that I had written. And so when I rewrote this new piece, it took it and branched it off into an entire new direction, which I think is often what happens in our memories. It's why everything that we tell is a mostly true thing. It's because we're constantly, putting our new lenses on and off as we retell it and remember it, and we make these new associations. And so we're hungry, and we're in Dallas, and we've been running around all day. And it starts raining, like really, really raining, really downpouring. Everything's bigger in Texas, including this rain. And we run, we see a Chipotle, which, not a huge fan of Chipotle, but the person I was touring with, because she was a piano-playing grandma lady, of course she was also a vegetarian, and so we would always go to Chipotle because they were a reliable vegetarian place. I've since learned that Chipotle actually, you can call ahead and talk to a manager, and if you're a touring artist and you set it up, they will actually create satellite places for you to eat for free and subsidize your food. So as much as I might make fun of them tonight, they actually do some cool stuff sometimes. Anyhow, we get into the Chipotle, and it's pouring out. We're just relieved, we're hungry, and I go to, I don't know why this happens, but I reach for my wallet. My wallet's there. All right? Because once you touch one butt cheek, you have to touch the other for symmetry, right? Yeah. And so I do, and normally the notebook is in the back pocket in the other butt cheek, inside of the other butt cheek, in the pockets, in the butt. I don't keep my book in my... So, and I look, and I can't find it. I'm looking around, and now I'm in public, and I'm just feeling like looking for something in public, just like like I just discovered that I have a butt, you know? Don't, I'm a white male, I don't have a butt. It's like a genetic thing. That's true. Mostly. And devastated. I realized that Alexa and Melanie are already up at the line, and I'm like, guys, what's your problem? What's your deal? Why do you have a mustache? And I'm like, my book. I don't know where my book is. I can't find my book, and I always have to have my book. I like to have it. I wrote things in it. Things that I wrote down are very important to me, and they're like, whoa, slow down. Why are you talking so fast? I'm like, because I'm nervous that I'm telling this story in the future. I didn't know that at the time, but I told them that, and I was confused as to why. I thought I was just freaking out. So I was like, well, maybe we should just go and try to retrace our steps, you know? I was like, retrace the steps of this huge city? Are you kidding? In the rain? I mean, obviously it's already soaked through. It's already, like, we've been everywhere. We had been running around for hours. There was no way. I mean, trying to find this thing, it would be like finding Waldo and Carmen Sandiego's jacket on an I Spy page. I mean, finding this thing would be like, it would be like finding a full set of teeth at a monster truck rally. I mean, finding this thing, it would be like finding a needle in a needle stack. I mean, finding this thing, actually that would be really easy to find a needle in a needle stack. If you're looking for a specific needle, it would be really hard. Finding this, a safety pin is just Siamese needle twins, okay? Stop lying to yourself. I was very worked up at the time. And it's carried over to now. I'm sorry. Finding this thing would be like finding authentic Mexican food that was affordable in that Chipotle in 2013. In February. You can remember the rest. So anyway, I couldn't find it. I was pissed. I was upset. I ate Chipotle. Stress eating, you know. So Melanie was very sweet, and Alexa, who, you know, some people that you're friends with become like your adversarial sibling, you know, where all you do is attack them, but it's fun, but like the only way you express affection or interaction is you kind of say mean, terrible things to them, but you both kind of know you're just kidding, but mostly you say nasty things, and some part of you is satisfied because, you know, it's like nice to say these horrible things that Fran thought she would go to hell about, and you know, and so that was Alexa, and so she was no source of consolation, but Melanie was very sweet, and that's what I'm talking about when I talk about the beauty of traveling, and the beauty of touring, and the beauty of meeting people, is that I got to meet someone like her, and unfortunately I had to spend a lot of time with Alexa. She's horrible, and if you ever listen to her music, I'm sorry. You might as well be in a megabus, it'd be equally enjoyable. I'm kidding, I'm just hoping she hears me say this somehow, so that she'll know I still love her. She's a good friend of mine. But I couldn't find this book, and it was terrible. And the next day, it didn't matter. The next day we were leaving. We were heading off to Memphis, Tennessee. We had another 2.5 weeks of travel. And we get on the bus. I was using my iPod Touch at the time to write a tour diary online. And somehow I'm aware that at the time that it was like ironic that I was able to tour blog to the world about how I lost my writing instrument with which I could write down my tour thoughts, but still it was dissatisfying because I'm like somehow trapped between like a weird Luddite and like a neo-futurist, I don't know. So I was upset, you know, and so I'm traveling, I'm on my way to Memphis, and I check my email because there's Wi-Fi on the megabus. It's really not that bad, guys. I don't know why you keep saying this stuff. And I get an email, and hello, this is Bruce. My name's Pam. I found your notebook, and I was wondering if you could make some time to meet up. I could give you the book. Pam. The Pam. I write back. Oh oh my God, I'm so sorry I can't meet up with you. I'm actually on a megabus. I'm traveling to Memphis, Tennessee. I'm on a tour. I keep giving you more details so I feel more important and I feel a little bit better about myself. But if you could mail it to this address, you know, please. I grew up on Long Island. My dad lives in Port Jeff. I grew up in Selden. I don't know if Selden's like the megabus of towns. I don't actually. It's not. I shouldn't say that. I don't think they allow weapons on the megabus. I grew up in Selden. And I grew up in Selden. I grew up around here. It's nice to be home, but it's nice to go away too. It reminds you of what you have at home. It reminds you of what you don't have at home. And in those two juxtapositions, you can enjoy both things simultaneously by this weird paradox of being away, and that reflecting on that makes going home sweeter later. Absence makes the heart grow. Fondling the thoughts of things in your head about when you're away from them. So I'm on the way to Memphis, and I tell Pam, I said, please, can you just send it to this address? My mom lives in Hauppauge on Long Island. Can you just send her? I'll pick it up when I get home. Thank you so much. I'm like, oh God, I feel so relieved. I tell Alexa, and she's like, shut up. I do not care about that notebook. It's something of yours. So then Pamela, I don't know, I'm grateful to her, but I don't know her well enough to say her whole name. So Pam emails me back, and she says, oh my God, Long Island, that's so wild. I grew up on Long Island. Where did you grow up? Where are you from? So I email her back, and I'm blown away. It's a small world. So I'm blown. I didn't record that, but I was thinking it. I couldn't record it because I didn't have my notebook. So I said, "Oh my God, you're from Long Island. Where are you from?" I grew up in Selden. She said, "I grew up." Pam, who found my notebook in Dallas, Texas, in an industrial park, in the rain, during a day of running around, during 5 weeks of travel through 15-odd states, found my notebook, and she grew up in the same town as me. And her brother lives around the corner from this stage that I'm telling the story on now, around the corner from where my dad lives. You're getting it. Small world, Long Island. I love antonyms, as you can tell from my Bruce Springsteen waist down and my Bruce the guy who definitely doesn't rap outfit from the waist up. I feel like a puppeteer and a puppet at the same time in this outfit somehow. I am a real boy. But it's only a small world. We play games like 6 Degrees of Separation. But 6 Degrees of Separation is really 6 degrees of connection when you actually play it. The reason why the separation exists is because we haven't bridged those connections yet. The world gets smaller when we do things like travel and bridge those gaps. And I would never, anyone could have picked up that book. Sure, synchronicity is amazing. Coincidence is amazing. But we give ourselves more opportunity for coincidence and more opportunity for synchronicity. And we get ourselves a little bit closer to Kevin Bacon every time. Some of you get that joke. Others of you think it means something like pork pie that I mentioned earlier. And so when we choose to reach out, Pam didn't have to reach out. She could have found that notebook. She could have thrown it out. She could have read it. She could have laughed at me. And then she could have emailed me and said, no, I'm not sending it to you. And that conversation could have never gone further. And we would have never known where we were from. So the reason I love making music, the reason I love traveling and sharing it, the reason I love writing, and then the next level of it is sharing it, is because it kind of makes a little more of these connections and makes the world a little bit smaller, while simultaneously having that weird paradox of sometimes when I don't feel at home in my own home, I can bridge connections to places where I have never been, in my head, in my creative life, or even literally geographically, and I can appreciate where I'm at or where I'm from, even sell it, by having these little jaunts, these little experiences. And if it weren't for people like Pam, who had reached out, or if it weren't for all of the people on my trip who had decided to put me up and put up with me in all of these various locations and satellites where I performed, I wouldn't be able to subsequently go back to these places. And I wouldn't be able to say, oh my God, yeah, you know him from Connecticut? That's crazy. I know so-and-so from over there. That's wild. And we have more of these enriching and connecting experiences of the illuminated and the illuminating networks of one another when we actually decide to make these connections and ask and go the next step and connect and give something back and be okay with taking something. And he didn't do the alarm thing. I asked him to. But I got my notebook back. And I've been in really crazy, giant, like, font with backwards R's, like a little kid writing a birthday card, because that's how I write like this, and backwards with the R's and K's. I've been writing my name and my address and my email address in every notebook since, knowing that maybe there's a Pam, or maybe there's someone new, and they might not be from Long Island, but they might know somebody else, or maybe I'll just get my book back.
Yeah.
Thank you.